Look, it's one thing for the president to push back on his supporters. It's another thing to essentially disown them. What's your reaction to this?
Yeah, this is pretty significant for a base that has been very unified. Of course, the Republican Party hasn't always been unified behind Donald Trump, but his base has really spoken and acted in unison with a lot of issues, especially these kinds of conspiracy type issues. So this is definitely an interesting moment, a unique moment as we think back at the MAGA movement, which is now about 10 years old. There's a clear break here. The president wants this issue to go away, Chris, but it really doesn't seem like the issue is going to go away at all. We see that there are Republican lawmakers, especially in the House, that are pushing Speaker Mike Johnson to speak out, to demand more information. So I think that until the Attorney General comes out and makes some definitive statements, answers questions, this is just going to continue boiling.
And we don't see any indication that she's planning to do that, Sam, although we just heard in the Oval Office the president speaking well of Pam Bondi again. But do you think he really doesn't care if he gets these folks back? Former supporters?
No, it's very abnormal to hear Donald Trump say he doesn't care about his base. In fact, his entire career politically has been him tending to his base, has been him stoking a lot of these conspiracies. And the people who he says have bought into this conspiracy are, in fact, people who he's appointed to high-ranking positions of power, right? Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, who are involved in handling this case as director and deputy director of the FBI. They are on camera. We've seen them with our own eyes, pushing the Epstein conspiracies prior to taking on positions of power in the Trump administration. So this is an interesting tack by Trump to say that Republicans who have bought into this are just doing the Democrats' bidding and that he doesn't want their support. And I'm sort of curious as to why he's doing this, because in the end, it's just keeping this story alive. It's giving it new oxygen. And I don't think it actually serves him all that well.
There is a lot of oxygen to this story, Congressman, and we've been hearing from conservative influencers all week. They give us a pretty good idea of where that MAGA base is, right? Here's what two of the biggest, Joe Rogan and Candace Owens, said just yesterday.
They got videotape, and all of a sudden they don't. You know, you have the director of the FBI on the show saying there's no if there was, nothing you're looking for is on those tapes. Like, what? Why did they say there was thousands of hours of tapes of people doing horrible? Why did they say that?
Right.
Didn't Pam Bondi say that?
It seems like you think your base is stupid. That's how I feel. I feel like Trump thinks his base is stupid, or, again, because I don't think he's pressing send on these messages, the people around him certainly think that Trump is stupid.
This, I think, Congressman, was maybe the most surprising thing to me, because Donald Trump got elected in at least significant part the first time, talking to people, because they believed Democrats looked down on them. They believed Democrats thought they were stupid. Now he's talking about them being duped by the Democrats. Is this that this administration looking at this somehow overestimated their loyalty to him, or underestimated their loyalty to this whole idea of the Jeffrey Epstein files?
Well, look, Donald Trump has become a successful politician by being a change agent, by railing against the establishment, by being the quintessential anti-establishment figure. And what a lot of these people in the base feel right now is that he has abandoned that theme. He has abandoned that commitment to uncovering all of these conspiracies, to putting the truth out there. Donald Trump's always been the one saying, let's get all the JFK information out there, right? Let's get to the bottom of everything. Let's not let the elites lie to us. And now, maybe for the first time, Donald Trump is saying, no, 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 we need to move on from this. We don't need to talk about this anymore. This is in the past. This is a crazy conspiracy theory. So that is why it's so dissonant. That's why it doesn't make sense to a lot of these people and why they are frustrated. And by the way, Chris, if Republicans are to defy political gravity and maintain control of Congress after the next election, they need this base to be united and motivated. That's why many of them are calling for more transparency and for more information.
Yeah, among them Speaker Johnson, Ryan. Before this post came out, before we heard what the president just had to say inside the Oval Office, he was siding with the MAGA base, calling for more transparency. I want to play part of what the speaker said.
It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide.
I'll let the Department of Justice continue to carry out what they need to do. I do think there needs to be more transparency.
But whatever they have, it needs to be transparent. It needs to come out.
I think moving forward, we need a special counsel. That has got to happen.
I'm big on clarity and transparency, and that's a good reason people don't trust government, either party.
But you don't believe what the Justice Department is saying?
I don't know. I don't. I don't trust them.
A Republican congressman from Tennessee saying he doesn't trust them. Here's my question, because what we keep hearing from the president and from others is that if there is credible information, we will put it out there. But does anybody, like the folks we just heard from, believe that there is credibility, trustworthiness in the people who are making those decisions, i.e. Pam Bondi and people around her?
Yeah, Kristen, I think, first of all, we have to state very plainly that what the president said in the White House today, what he put in that post this morning, is a full-on rewrite of history. This idea that there's just a small cadre of former Trump supporters that are obsessed with and want answers in the Epstein affair is just blatantly not true. And we saw that demonstrated in real time yesterday as this.
Seeing this, right? That people are like that. Everyone's giving up on Trump. The people that have protected him, that have taken the metaphorical, shots for him and whatnot. And in some cases, they would take literal ones for him. These are the kind of people that 6 months, now whether they would or have not, but like they said, I would take shots for him. They're giving up on him because we need to understand that this is a betrayal of the whole narrative, right? And look, MAGA was never about nuts and bolts policy, at least the 99% of MAGAs, the regular folks who are MAGAs, because there's nothing there for them. Look, the Democrats are a flawed party if you're not a rich person, because a lot of the right-wing Democrats don't actually support, Medicare for all and the programs that working class people need. But with Republicans, not only do they not oppose those things, they actively want to destroy them now. And so if you're a non-rich MAGA, all you get from MAGA is stories, is narrative, is this fairy tale of good and evil, and we're the good guys, and we're going to slay the dragon. And the dragon in this case was everyone surrounding Epstein. And now it's going down. And when you hear what a Secret Service agent is saying, it's going to blow your mind.
Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton from Massachusetts. Lots to discuss. Let's start with where we're leaving off on the Epstein files. Do you think more of the Epstein files need to be revealed? What questions do you want answered?
Well, look, Donald Trump has been wrapped around Jeffrey Epstein's finger for decades. And so it's pretty obvious what's going on here. He doesn't want the files released. The Attorney General, Pam Bondi, is covering it up, undoubtedly lying about what she had or didn't have on her desk, because it's likely that Trump is somehow going to get implicated. I think we ought to know, as the American public, if the president is implicated in this heinous sex trafficking scheme. But at the end of the day, what's probably going to happen is the Republicans are going to give in to Trump. That's what they always do in these situations. At the end of the day, these conservatives are so weak that they'll probably cave to Trump on this issue, too.
Yeah, just want to clarify, though, President Trump has said that he and Epstein had a break like 15 years ago. We have all seen those pictures of them together from earlier days. Looking at how this is playing out in Congress, can you be confident that the Republicans will fall in line, though? Because we even have Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, breaking with the president on this, calling for Epstein files to be released. What does that tell you?
Oh, you mean Mike Johnson, the same guy who said he wouldn't cut Medicare after voting to take health care away from 10, 15 million Americans? So these Republicans never keep their word. That's the problem, is when it comes to loyalty to Trump, versus doing the right thing, even just in their version of what the right thing is and their conservative worldview, ultra hardline, whatever you describe it as, they always give in at the end of the day. You know, we had a tough time. They had a tough time, I should say, passing this horrible, big, beautiful bill, as the Trump administration calls it, that dramatically exploded our debt. Passing a bill to our kids that cut health care for millions of Americans, all to give tax cuts to billionaires. And there was a whole bunch of Republicans who said they wouldn't do any of those things. They tried to hold out, and they lasted about 12 hours, and then they caved too. So that's probably what's going to happen here again.
Although Epstein may be different, we've heard from Marjorie Taylor Greene that this is like the one thing that, you know, has really fractured the MAGA base.
You wish they actually cared about kids' health care as much as they care about Jeffrey Epstein, or about like kids' food assistance or kids' school lunches, all of which they're cutting with their big, beautiful bill. Yeah, it would be nice if they cared about those millions of kids and not just about this case, as heinous as it is, but there you go.
It is heinous. It is heinous. And we all can agree, perhaps, you know, sunshine is the best disinfectant, so more transparency is needed, perhaps. Republican colleagues of yours have suggested maybe a special counsel should be appointed here. Take a listen to this.
Whatever they have, and I think Van Bondi is turning it over to somebody else now, but whatever they have, it needs to be transparent. It needs to come out.
I'm big on clarity and transparency, and you know, that's good reason people don't trust government, either party.
I think moving forward, we need a special counsel. That has got to happen. There has to be a special investigation into this if we aren't going to be provided information. And so this is certainly important, and I want answers. And maybe that takes that special counsel to do so. Maybe Matt Gaetz can lead the special counsel.
Would you support a special counsel? Could that put the conspiracies to bed?
It would help. I'm sure it would help. And think about this Republican Party and all the effort they put into investigating Hunter Biden. Investigating Hunter Biden over what? Like a shady business deal, perhaps, and a gun charge that wouldn't have stood against any other American. All that resource, all those lawyers, those private investigators and everything else trying for months and months to turn up the tiniest little bit of dirt on Hunter Biden, and yet they can't even decide to appoint a special counsel here for this heinous sex criminal who died mysteriously in prison. I mean, they're total hypocrites. But yeah, I mean, they should apply the same standard, obviously. And if they care enough, they should appoint a special counsel to investigate.
Congresswoman Boebert just suggested Matt Gaetz be the special counsel.
People need to remember this. Dan Bongino was a Secret Service guy, right? He was Secret Service before he went into right-wing politics and then eventually became the number 2 guy at the FBI. And guys, like, look, he's quit on this version of MAGA, at least, right? Because what he's saying is, I'm not going to just whitewash this. Even if he stays in the job, again, his conduct here matters. As everyone said, FBI, DOJ, they disagree with one another quite a bit. And even within those organizations, different sections of the FBI, different officials have philosophical and ideological and pragmatic disagreements. Same thing at the DOJ. One lawyer will say we have enough evidence to charge. Another will say, well, actually, we don't. On all sorts of cases, big and small, and in between. But the fact that he very publicly allowed his disagreements to go international. Guys, in Turkmenistan, I bet you they're talking about Dan Bongino. That's a sign that he's given up on being the same kind of Trump lackey. He's quit on being the lackey that he was a week ago.